Good day and welcome to this session on inventory. By the end of this session, you should be able to define what inventory is, identify the types of inventory as well as give examples, and then explain inventory control. So when we talk about inventory, every organization at one point in time holds what we call inventory, or they hold goods in the form of what we call inventory. Inventory is used to refer to the goods and materials that any business holds for the purpose of resale. So, if you take a typical supply chain, inventory is what is usually handled at each particular node. So, your suppliers hold inventory, manufacturers or the focal firm holds inventory, and then consumers hold inventory for consumption. Customers hold inventory. Customers include retailers, wholesalers, among others, and third-party providers. They all hold inventory in one form or the other. And it is necessary, or it should be noted, that inventory is a very critical source of costs for a lot of organizations, because holding inventory means that you are paying costs. You are paying monies for people to manage those inventories. You are paying utility bills on those inventory. You are paying rent at where you are keeping the inventory. You are paying people to monitor and then for security. So inventory, when it is kept in huge quantities, is a source of cost for organizations, and therefore there is a need for organizations to adopt proper inventory management mechanisms so that the cost that is associated with inventory is reduced to the minimum. And it should be noted that there are various examples of inventories that a typical manufacturing business might hold, and some of them include raw materials, which may be in the form of wood, assuming the manufacturer is making a shelf. Work in process inventory, which could be an unfinished cake to a cake manufacturer, and then inventory could also be in the form of finished goods, such as the bed that a carpenter has finished making, or among others. So we have three basic types of inventory, that is raw materials, work in process or work in progress inventory, and finished goods inventory. So if you take raw materials, that is what every converter or manufacturer takes so that they add value and convert into a finished good. So raw materials are basically the materials or the goods in its raw form that has no value. And if you take a typical manufacturing firm, they get their raw materials from their suppliers. And so we could say that the source of a manufacturing firm's raw materials is from their upstream suppliers, who make available these raw materials to them in certain quantities so that the manufacturing firm would convert it and add value for finished products to be made available to consumers or to customers in the downstream. It should be noted that, as we have established earlier, inventory management is key, and the sourcing of raw materials, the process that is involved in sourcing raw materials, should cater for quality, cost, as well as several other elements, so that the raw materials that the organization acquires is of the accepted quality and of the accepted standard, because the raw material that you acquire would influence the finished product that you come up with. So if for a milk manufacturer, their raw material will be the fresh produce from the cow. For an ice cream manufacturer, their raw materials could include sugar, milk, other materials that they would need to add value so that they come up with a finished product of ice cream. Then we come to work in process inventory. So manufacturing firms don't begin with the conversion of raw materials and immediately come up with a finished product. They usually have items that can be found along their manufacturing line, which it may not necessarily be raw materials, neither would they necessarily also be finished products. So if you take a typical cake manufacturer, before they come up with a complete cake, they have to first bake the actual cake on its own and then put it together, ice it, and then design it to come up with a finished product. So if you go to a cake manufacturer and you find that baked cake that hasn't been put together, it could be considered as a work in process inventory. So if you also take a typical furniture manufacturer, work in process inventory could be the furnished wood that they are yet to put together or assemble to make probably a bed or a chair or a desk to be made available to a business entity. Then we come to finished goods. This is the final product that comes out of a manufacturing process, and these good products are what is really ready to be sold to consumers or customers. So various organizations have their various inventory that they keep. So for manufacturing businesses, they usually keep all the three forms of inventory. That is, they keep raw materials, they keep work in process inventory, and they also keep finished goods. If you take retailers and distributors, they usually don't store raw material inventory and work in process or unfinished goods inventory. Mostly retailers and distributors acquire their products or finished products from manufacturers. So they usually keep finished goods inventory to be made available to consumers. Then if you take service businesses today, they usually hold inventory that enables them to deliver their services. So for instance, if you are an acupuncturist, those Chinese people who use needles to heal people, the inventory that they keep is the needles that they use to provide the acupuncture service. And if you are a gardener, you keep garden shears, herbicides, among others. If you're a business into hairdressing, you would also keep inventory like dyes, hair dryers, among others, that will enable you to deliver the service of hairdressing. So the need to minimize costs associated with inventory whilst maximizing the ability to produce or provide goods on time is what we call inventory control. So inventory control is the aspect of inventory management which concerns how total cost of inventory is minimized while maximizing the ability to provide customers with product in a timely manner. So even though we have established that inventory is a major source of cost to organizations, it is also one of the most valuable assets to every organization. So it is a double-edged sword. It is both a cost as well as an asset to organizations. Therefore, there is a need for organizations to manage inventory within the organization effectively and efficiently so as to reap the benefits associated with it and minimize the costs associated with it.